Hey guys, welcome back, VDCKR, and today we'll be doing another Mortal Kombat video.
Right, so we've shown a few of the teams. This is one of the good teams where you don't need any souls. It's sort of really almost as powerful as any silver Kenshi team set up, right?
Yeah.
It's a traditional silver Cassie Cage team. And so they're all available in the regular card pack, or you can buy them directly for coins only. And she's got 50% health boost teamed with Johnny Cage and 50% attack teamed with Sonya Blade.
Yep.
What makes her a little bit more interesting is that there are 2 gold Sonya Blades and 2 gold Johnny Cages. So you could pick a Sonya Blade that will give you an extra 30% attack. You could pick Johnny Cage that will give you an extra 30% health if you want. The biggest problem is when you set up your team to be a little bit unbalanced, because they're golds, right?
Yeah.
So if you set up the team to be, if they're about the same stats, that's okay. You're still going to face a reasonably picked opponent. But if your gold happens to be fused higher because you happen to pick them up in the booster packs, you're kind of screwed. Because then the advantage you get on Cassie Cage for having all those boosts from passive is negated by by facing guys that are way too strong. And so Cassie Cage, one of the things that's sort of really interesting is that her special 2 gives her a crit damage boost. So that luck is just saying that she's more likely to get a crit hit, and it makes her really powerful.
She's good.
Yeah. So the biggest difference between Mortal Kombat and say something like Injustice, where you could get extra cards and you could choose to promote your guy, here, as soon as you get the card, you have no choice. If you pick up the card in Fusion, you promote them, and there's a chance that you promote them right out of being a fit for your team.
Which is crap.
Yeah. So look at here, our opponents are basically, okay, so Kenshi's the only problem. He's got the 1 martial artist, but he doesn't have a spec ops. So he won't have the extra health, so that'll make it easier. And Scorpion we need to watch out a little bit, just because his special 1 can stun and then he leaves you vulnerable for a bit of damage. But he's weak enough that it's not probably a big deal. So Kenji's really our only problem. And you'll notice, alright, so in terms of team setup, having Johnny Cage is perfect because he's a power drainer. If you're ever in trouble and the other guy's building up too much power, drop him in, do a little bit of power drain. For sure. Alright. Yeah, so this is the classic team. I mean, if you're sort of having trouble accumulating souls, the Kenshi team, where your teammates can be almost anybody and still get the boost, right? Because there's so many martial arts and so many spec ops. Or Cassie Cage, because you can buy directly and you can get them from the card packs. Although, you know what? I'll tell you something. It's hard to justify spending card packs now when the equipment packs are based on coins too. And
it's just so cheap to get your gear up.
Yeah, I think gear makes a huge difference.
Massive.
Which is kind of sad that I'm glad they did it, but I'm almost a little bit sad because now faction wars don't mean as much. They're not nearly as important as they were before.
Yeah, it's only the specifics, which there hasn't been any exclusives yet. So it's kind of like Injustice, where if there's not a reward that season, there's no real point.
And you can see it reflected in the numbers too. The number of people that are fighting in faction wars, and the points to get to certain levels is a lot lower this season than any before that I played.
Which is unfortunate.
Look, a lot more crit hits.
Yeah, now for everything except for gold characters, it's becoming more and more feasible to actually get full game completion. Oh, there we go. He's already out.
Yeah, I like to rub it in his nose. So, if you weren't paying attention, what we've got on Cassie Cage is a chance at block breaker. It's a chance of unblockable basic attacks, which is really useful for somebody who's as fast as she is, because then you can just tap, tap, tap combos. And we just really have to manage their power gen. Alright, so this is interesting. So this is an unbalanced team that we're facing. Sub-Zero has the most health, and he's the one that will revive with 25% of his health.
Yeah.
And he's got Warlock Quan Chi, who's going to revive him again with 25% of his health.
So this is going to be hard to beat him, but easy to beat everybody else.
Alright, and what's funny is, the AI is not as smart, right? So there's a chance that if, as we're beating around Sub-Zero, Quan Chi might actually sub in.
And then that'll be good for us.
But the other thing too is it's almost not worth trying to save any of your specials or whatever to get Quan Chi in, because that kind of actually is still even harder than if we just let Sub-Zero revive twice.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a hard-learned lesson, because sometimes it's tempting to save your specials for the next guy who's coming in because there's not a lot of health left. But the time that they spend waiting and generating more power, it's better, almost always better, to knock somebody out, so there's one less guy generating energy or power and ready to drop a special on you, than it is to just use up your power, knock them out, get rid of one more threat.
Yeah, like in Justice when you're using Ares, but then the first guy on the enemy team is killing Joker.
Yeah.
Oh no, we're fighting Death Touch 5.
That's Dim Mak. I remember, I think it was Bruce Lee that had that Fist of Fear Touch of Death, that video.
Yeah.
That was the most hilarious video. Yeah, it's not worth waiting, but he's walking, so this might not.
Oh.
Oh, he revived. Yeah, this guy doesn't have a lot. And the other thing I like is that her luck boost still lasts even when she's off.
Which is great.
Reviving Raiden was not nearly as bad as reviving Sub-Zero, who was their top guy who has most health. I probably could have saved that special too. I know I normally say don't bother saving, but I probably could have saved that special too.
The announcer really thinks you're impressive.
I think I'm impressive too.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Alright, you know what's funny? Look at her green. I like that. But you know what's funny is that when she's burning, and she's taking damage, she looks actually cooler. When she's taking burn damage, she looks even cooler. With the green hands and the flames. It's actually all pretty good. It's all cool.
Yeah.
Alright.
Especially when you're not struggling to stay alive.
Okay, another unbalanced team, and Kenshi is first. Alright, so interesting setup. Clearly, this is not set up to be necessarily effective. Possessed Kenshi's going to have 1 bar of power. But you're losing out on his passive because he's not swapping in. But also on the AI, you don't control what he's swapping in, so it's not awful as a defensive team. But it would probably be more trouble to deal with. Now, he's got 1 bar of power. Should I put in Giant? Yeah, you know what? Screw that. I'll just hope that he doesn't use it on me. I mean, what am I going to do, right?
The real question is, what do they use when they pick your online multiplayer team? We don't actually get to see any of that process because...
Well, we've never been picked for defensive fights.
Yeah, you never get to see defensive fights.
Actually, you know what? Maybe I'll bring Johnny Cage and let him train Johnny Cage.
So really, if it affects you not at all for online fights...
Yeah.
And especially now that the rewards aren't even as important to us anymore, right? Would you be doing somebody a solid to switching to a high-level gold team with no gear?
If we were actually picked for defensive battles, it would. Actually, I'm going to pick Sonya Blade because Johnny Cage, I like his specials to drain if I need to. But I don't mind if... Oh. I guess I get to use a special. Because really the only person whose special I don't want to have removed, like to lose my power, is Cassie Cage. Come on, drain me. Oh, oops, wrong one.
Oh. Oh.
Now it's a second special, so it's going to be a damage special. Oh, a drain? He used the drain.
Yeah, he used the drain.
Oh, bastard. Oh, oop. Family. No. That was a mistake. So she's our main, because it's a relatively balanced team, we're not in as much danger as we would otherwise if we were playing an unbalanced team. Cassie Cage was the whole show.
Wow, impressive.
So even though, right, Cassie Cage is the star of the show, she got knocked out because of, a little bit of sloppiness and stupidity.
Cupidity?
Cupidity. Yeah, so the other guys, because you're running a balanced team, the other guys, even though they're not as strong, right? So their stats are a little bit less. Actually, Johnny Cage's attack is a lot less, his health is higher, but when you take into account Cassie Cage's boost, her health would actually be effectively higher.
Yeah.
The other two guys are still good enough to take out, to handle whatever the opponent is when it's...
Which is always good to have.
Yeah. And who's left? Alright, Master Soul, Spectre... Oh, he's going to start with 3 bars of power. So the question now is, who are we going to sacrifice? Out of our 3 guys, who are we going to give up? Because he's got... Oh, actually, it only does... He's only 14,000. He's not going to do enough damage. Hold on. Maybe we're worrying too much for nothing. How much damage is he going to do? 16,000? Ooh, okay. So, we're going to sacrifice Sonya Blade, maybe?
Oh, no.
Alright. Because he's going to start off with 3 bars of power. Because Morphle Katana gives 1, and his passive gives each of them 2. Cutthroat Kano is actually the most powerful guy, so we need to save Cassie Cage and take him on. And once Master Souls is basically blown his wad, we're going to be in pretty good shape.
Family channel.
Sorry. Well, you know what? It's funny, sometimes those kind of terms, when you're reading a book or something,
Yeah.
when you're young enough to not understand it, you sort of slide right by it. Unless people bring attention to it and point out to it, oh, that's something to be offended by or to find amusing.
Yeah. So what I really like too, this is the first time that this actually came up that we can mention it, but I really like how in the online multiplayer you can actually rearrange your team.
Yeah, you can change your gear, you can do a bunch of stuff. I like that.
That's cool. And I think it's fun because I think it's a little more fun to be able to, if you really are kind of riding that hard edge of almost losing, I think it's cooler to be able to like customize your gear where you're like, ooh, their best guy's an Outworld guy. Let's, you know, give Outworld gear. You know what I'm saying?
Now, he's got defense, so he's not taking damage, but I'm still generating power, so it's still worth trying to whack him out a bit, because I want my special too.
And you also just get to smack him around. Because when you're hitting him, he's definitely not hitting you, right?
That's it. Now, Cutthroat Kano's got a double special, so I might not want to let her take... I might not want her to eat that. Alright, so that was good. We only did a special one. I'll drain the other one. Didn't drain very much, did it?
He was blocking.
Yeah.
Oh. The funny thing is, with his nut punch, because of the way they're animated and stuff, it's not actually their nuts. Right?
Oh, and you notice it, the first time didn't drain her power, but the second time did, because Cassie Cage's signature gear has a 50% chance of not taking any debuffs. So one of those debuffs is having your energy drain. So the first time it worked, and the second time it did not. So she didn't drain her power. Alright, so that was actually interesting, because Sonya Blade did not get knocked out by his third special. I think if I were playing that other team, I would make Master Souls Ermac the prime player. Or maybe a co-prime player, so his special 3 actually can consistently knock somebody out. And then have somebody else who does the attack. Alright, so Kano, Cutthroat Kano. Yeah, another unbalanced team. Ninjutsu Scorpion is only 11,000. He does not give a Cutthroat Kano any boost, so Cutthroat Kano is really the only threat.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Liu Kang is actually pretty good. He's pretty fast, but he's got so little damage that he's not really a problem. There's so many things I like about Mortal Kombat, and it's a shame because I think if you grabbed all the really good things from each of the games, you could have one really great fighting game for the mobile device.
You know what they should do? They should do like Warner Bros. All-Stars. And then they could even mix up some of the characters, right?
Yeah. Well, they have a little bit, because we've got an Inferno Scorpion that's in... sorry, not Inferno. We've got a Mortal Kombat Scorpion.
Yeah.
That's in Injustice. And we've got, I think, an Injustice Scorpion in Mortal Kombat.
Still, I think a kind of like just a remake where they have an excuse to use a bunch of the characters again, use all the good ideas again, right?
Yeah, no, that would definitely be cool. There's definitely things, there's strengths and weaknesses out of all 3 of the Warner Brothers fighting games.
But I think each of them are like really good in their own right, and there's a bunch of ways that they could make them like better just by combining things that they already have, right? Which is cool.
See, this is what I mean. Normally that would be a huge danger, but because he does so little damage, I'm not even worried about a special 2, or a special 1 of me.
Boom.
So it's a pretty good team. It's easy to fight with. I mean, if you're struggling in faction wars, not a bad go-to team to generate a few battle points to move up on the ladder.
And I think all of our fights were under a minute.
Yeah, I wasn't even paying attention.
I think. I'm not sure about that. Ooh, nice.
I was like
1,000 extra coins. I don't even care. It's just that we got something free.
Alright, so that is the Cassie Cage family team.
Yeah. I think that's all for now.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
See you guys next time. Komodo.